My name is Sam. I'm an architect from San Francisco. 8 years of marriage, 2 children, a shared home, happiness that everyone envied. And then I discovered that my wife, a therapist, found peace in the arms of a massage therapist she met on Tinder. But I didn't throw a tantrum. I did something worse. I destroyed everything she tried to hide. Laura had always been an example to everyone. She helped clients find harmony, talked about how important it is to be honest in relationships. Ironic, right? We had 2 children, stable income, our own house. I worked as an architect and even took several contracts through her recommendations to clients. We seemed like the perfect couple, until I heard one phone call that broke everything. She was in the kitchen when her phone rang. I heard a man's voice. "I can't stop thinking about you, babe." She quickly left the room and said it was a patient in crisis. I said nothing, just smiled. But in my head, I was already building a plan. Because if she wants to play games with me, she doesn't know who she's dealing with yet. That night, while she slept, I sent her location from her phone via Telegram and deleted the messages. A few days later, she again went to see a client. I opened the geolocation and saw a motel. I didn't burst in. I took photos and kept the receipt. Then I went to Joel's page, her lover. Massage therapist, freelancer. I knew what to do. Calmly, legally, without emotions. First of all, I copied all the evidence, correspondence, photos, geolocation, and sent a copy to my email. Then I made a move that changed everything. Laura, as a therapist, worked through her own private practice and had a state license. I wrote a formal complaint to the Association of Psychotherapists with evidence that she had entered into a romantic relationship with a client. Joel had actually come to her for consultations once. For the association, this is a serious ethical violation. 2 weeks later, her license was suspended pending investigation. And that's when I filed for divorce, with evidence of infidelity. She tried to play the victim, said it was none of my business. But the court saw everything, photos, calls, messages. I got the house and full custody of the children. She lost her job, her reputation, and now lives with that same Joel, who can barely afford rent. Ironically, her new life looks like the therapy she never went through herself. I didn't yell, didn't break things, didn't physically take revenge. I just used her lies against her. She lost everything she fought for: career, stability, trust. And I kept the children, the house, and my peace. Because the best revenge isn't destroying someone. It's making them destroy themselves. But that wasn't the end of it. Not even close. You see, when Laura's license was suspended, she didn't just lose her practice. She lost her entire professional identity. The woman who spent years building her reputation as someone who could heal others suddenly became the cautionary tale whispered about in professional circles. I remember the day she came to pick up her belongings from the house. It was a Saturday morning, and the kids were at my sister's place. I had packed everything neatly: her clothes, books, that collection of crystals she swore helped with energy healing. The irony wasn't lost on me. She stood in the doorway, looking smaller somehow. "Sam, we need to talk about the kids," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The custody arrangement is clear," I replied, keeping my tone neutral. "You have supervised visitation every other weekend. That's what the court decided." "Supervised?" Her voice cracked. "Sam, they're my children too. And yet you chose to risk everything we built. You chose to lie. You chose to break our family." I wasn't angry anymore. That had passed weeks ago. Now I just felt empty. The court made its decision based on the evidence. "Your choices led to this." She tried to argue, tried to explain that what happened with Joel was about her feeling unappreciated, about me working too much, about her needing emotional connection. The same tired excuses that cheaters have used since the beginning of time. As if any of that justified betrayal. What she didn't know was that I had already started documenting everything long before I confronted her. Every late night, emergency session, every suspicious credit card charge, every time she came home smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. I had created a detailed timeline, backed up with evidence that would make any lawyer proud. My architectural training had taught me one crucial skill: attention to detail. In my profession, missing a single measurement could cause an entire structure to fail. I applied that same meticulous approach to dismantling the facade of our marriage. After Laura left that day, I sat in the living room of the house we had chosen together 7 years ago. The exposed brick wall that she had insisted on keeping. The bay windows that let in perfect morning light. The kitchen where we had cooked countless family dinners. Every corner held memories that now felt tainted. But I wasn't going to let those memories defeat me. Instead, I started making changes. First, I repainted the bedroom. That soft gray she had chosen was replaced with a deep navy blue. I rearranged the furniture, sold the bed we had shared, and bought something entirely new. I was literally redesigning my life, one room at a time. The kids adjusted better than I expected. Emma, our 7-year-old, asked questions at first. Why doesn't mommy live here anymore? But children are resilient. I made sure to never speak badly about Laura in front of them, despite everything. They would form their own opinions as they grew older. Marcus, our 5-year-old, was too young to fully understand. He just knew that mommy had a new apartment and that they visited her sometimes with grandma supervising. Meanwhile, Laura's professional life continued to crumble. The investigation by the therapist licensing board uncovered not just the relationship with Joel, but questionable documentation practices and boundary violations with other clients. Nothing criminal, but enough to ensure her license wouldn't be reinstated anytime soon. She had to find work elsewhere. Last I heard through mutual acquaintances, she was working as a receptionist at a yoga studio. The woman who had a doctorate in psychology, who had published articles about maintaining professional boundaries, was now answering phones and scheduling classes. Joel, her grand romance, turned out to be exactly what I suspected, a temporary escape from responsibility. Their relationship lasted about 4 months after she moved in with him. Turns out, the excitement of an affair doesn't translate well into everyday life when you're both struggling to pay bills and dealing with the consequences of your choices. My career, meanwhile, flourished. Without the emotional drain of a failing marriage, I threw myself into work. I landed a major contract to design a mixed-use development in Oakland. The project would take 2 years and significantly boost my professional reputation. My colleagues noticed the change in me too. "You seem more focused," my business partner David said one afternoon as we reviewed blueprints. "More driven. Divorce will do that to you," I replied with a sardonic smile. "Clears away the distractions." What I didn't tell David was how the betrayal had changed something fundamental in me. I no longer took people at face value. I no longer believed in the fairy tale of happily ever after. I had become cynical, perhaps, but also more realistic, more protected. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I ran into one of Laura's former colleagues at a coffee shop. Dr. Patricia Chun had always been friendly to both of us at professional gatherings. "Sam," she said, approaching my table hesitantly. "How are you holding up?" "I'm doing well, actually," I said, and meant it. "The kids are great, work is busy. Can't complain." She shifted uncomfortably. "I want you to know that what Laura did, many of us in the community were shocked. We never saw it coming." "Neither did I admitted. "But that's the thing about deception. It only works if it's believable." Patricia nodded. "For what it's worth, you handled everything with remarkable grace. A lot of people would have reacted very differently." "Anger is easy," I said, "but it doesn't accomplish anything. I wanted justice, not just revenge. And that was the truth. I could have exposed Laura publicly, could have ruined her reputation beyond repair, could have made sure everyone knew what she had done. But I didn't need to do any of that. Her own actions had consequences built into them. All I did was make sure those consequences actually materialized. The licensing board investigation, the divorce proceedings, the custody arrangement, none of it required me to be vindictive or cruel. I simply presented the facts and let the systems designed to handle such situations do their work. There's a certain satisfaction in that, in knowing that you didn't stoop to their level, didn't become the villain in your own story. I remained the rational, calm, collected architect who built a case as carefully as I would design a building. As time passed, I started to rebuild my personal life too. I joined a rock climbing gym, something I had always wanted to try, but never had time for during my marriage. I reconnected with old friends who had drifted away over the years. I took Emma and Marcus on weekend adventures, hiking, museum visits, trips to the beach. One evening, about 8 months after everything fell apart, Emma asked me a question that stopped me in my tracks. "Daddy, are you happy?" I looked at my daughter, her serious brown eyes studying my face, and I realized that yes, I was. Not the naive happiness I had felt before, when I believed my marriage was solid and my future was secure. This was something different, hard-earned, more real. "I am, sweetheart," I told her. "Are you?" She nodded. "I miss how things were before, but I like how we are now too. You smile more. Out of the mouths of babes, as they say." The truth was that my marriage to Laura had been struggling long before Joel appeared. I had just been too busy, too comfortable, too invested in the illusion to see it. Her affair was a symptom, not the cause. We had grown apart, stopped communicating, stopped making each other a priority. Not that any of that excuses what she did. There are right ways and wrong ways to end a relationship, and choosing to cheat while pretending everything is fine is definitely the wrong way. But understanding the broader context helped me move forward. It helped me identify what I wanted in future relationships, what red flags to watch for, what boundaries to maintain. A year after the divorce, I started dating again. Nothing serious at first, just coffee dates and casual dinners. I was honest with everyone I met about my situation: divorced, 2 kids, trust issues to work through. Some women were scared off by that. Others appreciated the honesty. I met Rachel at a gallery opening. She was an urban planner, and we spent 2 hours discussing the intersection of architecture and city design before I even realized we were flirting. She had been divorced too, understood the complexities of co-parenting, didn't expect me to be perfect. We took things slowly. I didn't introduce her to the kids for months. I didn't make promises I wasn't sure I could keep. And when she asked about my ex-wife, I told her the truth without bitterness or drama. Just facts. You really did handle it well, Rachel said one evening over dinner. A lot of people would have let it destroy them. It almost did, I admitted. But I realized that letting her betrayal ruin my life would mean she won. And I wasn't about to let that happen. Meanwhile, Laura's attempts to rebuild her life continued to falter. She completed some online courses to try to work in an adjacent field, but found that her reputation preceded her. The professional community is smaller than you think, and word travels fast. She tried to reconnect with the kids, pushing for more visitation time. But Emma had started asking questions about why Mommy didn't live with us anymore, and Marcus had begun having nightmares when he knew he had to visit her. The supervised visitation continued, and the court saw no reason to modify the arrangement. I never celebrated Laura's struggles. I didn't gloat or feel superior. What I felt was something closer to sadness. Sadness that it had come to this, that someone I had once loved had made choices that led to such a spectacular fall. But that sadness was tempered by relief that I had protected myself and my children from further damage. The house became truly ours, mine and the kids. We created new traditions, new memories untainted by betrayal. Sunday morning pancakes. Friday movie nights. Bedtime stories that stretched on longer than they should because I couldn't say no to just one more chapter, Daddy. My professional reputation continued to grow. The Oakland project was completed to acclaim, and I received inquiries about similar projects in other cities. I was invited to speak at an architecture conference about adaptive reuse of urban spaces. Life moved forward. 2 years after the divorce, I received an unexpected message. Laura wanted to meet for coffee to discuss the kids. No lawyers, no intermediaries. Just the 2 of us. I agreed, curious about what she wanted. We met at a neutral location, a coffee shop neither of us had been to before. She looked different, older, more tired. The confidence that had always characterized her was gone, replaced by something more fragile. "Thank you for meeting me," she said, wrapping her hands around her coffee cup like she needed the warmth. "What did you want to discuss?" I kept my tone professional, neutral. "I know I don't have the right to ask for anything," she began, "but I want to be more present in Emma and Marcus's lives. I've been working on myself, going to therapy actually. I understand now what I did, the damage I caused." I studied her face, looking for signs of manipulation, but saw only sincerity. Or perhaps I had just become too cynical to recognize the difference. "The custody arrangement is what it is," I said. "If you want to modify it, you'll need to go through the proper channels." "I'm not asking for that. Not yet, anyway. I just wanted you to know that I'm trying to be better. For them." "That's good," I said, and meant it. Despite everything, Laura was still their mother. If she could genuinely improve, that would benefit the kids. We talked for another 30 minutes. She apologized again, though we both knew that apologies couldn't undo what had happened. She asked about the kids, and I shared stories about their achievements, their challenges, their growth. She listened with tears in her eyes, realizing how much she had missed. When we parted ways, I felt a sense of closure that I hadn't expected. This wasn't forgiveness exactly, but it was acceptance. Acceptance that what happened had happened, that we both had to live with the consequences, that life goes on regardless. The best revenge, I had learned, wasn't making someone suffer. It was building a life so good that their betrayal became irrelevant. It was showing your children that integrity matters, that actions have consequences, that it's possible to survive even the worst betrayals and come out stronger. As for me, I'm still designing buildings, still creating structures that will outlast me. But I've also rebuilt the most important structure of all my life. Stronger this time, better foundations, more honest materials. Laura taught me a valuable lesson, though I doubt she intended to. She taught me that trust must be earned, that love without respect is meaningless, and that the person you think you know best might be the one hiding the most. But more importantly, I taught myself something even more valuable. I learned that I'm capable of handling the worst life throws at me with grace and dignity. I learned that revenge doesn't have to be petty or cruel to be effective. And I learned that sometimes the best way to win is simply to refuse to let them see you lose. 3 years after the divorce, something unexpected happened that reminded me why I had been so thorough in documenting everything. Laura filed a motion to modify the custody arrangement. She claimed she had turned her life around, completed her therapy, and deserved equal parenting time. Her lawyer argued that supervised visitation was no longer necessary and that the children needed their mother. I wasn't surprised. I had been preparing for this possibility since the day the original custody order was signed. What Laura didn't know was that I had continued documenting everything. Every missed visit, every time she showed up late, every occasion when she canceled on the kids at the last minute because something came up. I had text messages, emails, a detailed log with dates and times. The custody hearing was scheduled for a Tuesday morning. I arrived early with my lawyer, Jennifer Park, a family law attorney who specialized in high-conflict custody cases. The hearing began. Laura's lawyer painted a picture of a reformed woman who had made mistakes but learned from them. Laura took the stand and spoke about her therapy, her new job as a counselor at a nonprofit. Apparently she had found a way to use her degree without a license, and how much she missed her children. She was convincing. I'll give her that. She cried at the right moments, expressed remorse, talked about wanting to make amends. If I didn't know better, I might have believed her myself. Then it was my turn. Jennifer methodically went through the documentation I had provided. She showed the pattern of unreliability. The times Laura had promised to call the kids and didn't. The birthday she forgot. The school events she missed despite being invited. But the most damaging evidence was recent. Just 2 months earlier, Laura had shown up to a supervised visit clearly intoxicated. The supervisor had documented it and sent the kids home early. Laura had claimed she had taken cold medicine that made her drowsy, but the supervisor's notes told a different story. Your Honor, Jennifer said, Mr. Harris isn't trying to keep the children from their mother out of spite. He's protecting them from instability. Ms. Harris has shown a pattern of putting her own needs above the children's well-being. Until that pattern changes conclusively, the current arrangement should remain in place. The judge took a week to make a decision. When the ruling came, the custody arrangement remained unchanged. The judge noted that while Laura had made some progress, it wasn't enough to warrant a modification. Perhaps in another year, with consistent demonstration of reliability, she could file again. Laura was devastated. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she blamed me, said I had poisoned the judge against her, that I was manipulating the system. But the truth was simpler. I hadn't manipulated anything. I had simply shown the truth, documented and undeniable. The system worked exactly as it was supposed to when you provide it with clear evidence. That evening, after the kids were asleep, I sat on the back deck of our house and thought about the journey that had brought me here. For years since I overheard that phone call. For years of legal battles, emotional turmoil, and rebuilding. A few weeks after the custody hearing, Emma came to me with a question that showed how perceptive children can be. Dad, why doesn't Mom live with us? We had talked about the divorce before, but she was getting older now, asking deeper questions. Because sometimes adults make choices that mean they can't be together anymore. I explained carefully. Your mom and I both love you and Marcus very much. But we weren't good partners to each other. Did she do something bad? I paused, choosing my words carefully. I had promised myself I would never poison the kids against their mother, no matter what. She made choices that hurt our family. But people are complicated, Emma. Your mom isn't a bad person. She just made bad decisions. We all do sometimes. The important thing is learning from them. Later, I realized that conversation had been a turning point for me. I had finally let go of the last bit of anger I had been carrying. Laura's choices had hurt me, had hurt our family, but they didn't define me anymore. I had built something new, something better, something authentic. My architecture firm won a major award that year for the Oakland project. At the ceremony, Standing on stage accepting the recognition, I looked out at the audience and saw Emma and Marcus, in the front row, cheering for me. My sister was there, my parents, my colleagues, my friends. This was my life now, built on a stronger foundation than before, designed with lessons learned from failure, created with intention and care. The best revenge truly wasn't about making Laura suffer. It was about proving that her betrayal hadn't broken me, that I could take the worst thing that had ever happened to me and use it as motivation to become better, stronger, more successful. Laura's story became a cautionary tale in the therapy community, reminder of why professional boundaries exist, why ethics matter, why integrity is non-negotiable. My story became something different, a testament to the power of staying calm, documenting everything, and letting the truth speak for itself. Thank you for watching the video to the end. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. A playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to is now displayed on the screen. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.